Test one, test one. Can you guys hear now? Still can't hear on it?
Test one, test one. Can you guys hear
There
now?
we go. You guys should be able to hear it now.
Still can't hear on it.
All right,
Test
cool.
one, test one. Can you guys hear
There
now?
we go. Awesome, perfect. Perfect, perfect. Thank you to everybody who was struggling and suffering with me. I appreciate you. Appreciate your ministry, sending me a message and everything. Just fixed it. All right. All right, cool. Let's move this and let's get started. All right. So again, if you have any deals, send them out, and you can text at this message. You can send a message to this phone number. You can send a text message to this phone number, and we'll get started. Let's start with this deal right here. So we got this deal over in Oakley Road. Today we're using PropStream to be able to do our comps. A lot of people say I have PropStream. There was a point in time where people was like, yo, PropStream is trash now. They ain't got MLS access and all this craziness was happening. But they do have MLS access. Okay, they are back. And I like PropStream. I like PropStream for a couple of different reasons, actually. And I will show you guys. So PropStream is one of the places that you can get a lot of details. Okay, obviously you get this preliminary stuff here, but when I go into details, PropStream is the only place where I can also see how many linked properties that the seller owns. And why is that important? Well, it's extremely important, right? It gives me a little bit of leverage. It gives me a little bit of understanding of what type of situation am I in right now, right? Or the seller, I should say, is in. Understand, as investors, what are we buying, right? Like truth be told, what exactly is it that we're buying? And the truth of the matter is, we're buying problems. We're buying problems from people. We were just looking at a deal. I was just talking to my team. Rhonda and I, we were discussing a deal this lady had in Ohio. And at the time, it was some crazy thing about it was about to go to pre-foreclosure or it wasn't. And then we found out that she actually didn't owe anything. The bank wrote the house off. Then somehow, fast forward, they realized they made a mistake. The house is in bad condition, but they made a mistake. They put 40K debt on her. And then the city came down and decided that, hey, we're going to tear this property down because we don't like the way it looks. We just like it not looking as bad as it looks now. And they charged her $8,500. So now she is a proud owner of a beautiful piece of land in Ohio with about 40 to 50K in debt. Why would we do a deal with this lady? Well, we are looking to buy her problems, right? You know how they say one person's trash is another person's what is it, treasure, right? Well, in what we do, one person's problem is another person's solution, and we get paid for that, right? And you can get paid extremely well being able to provide solutions to people who are looking for that, because that's how they make their businesses, how they feed their families. So with that being said, this particular property here, I know they have two properties, so I'm either going to assume one of these or maybe one of their properties that they, visit from time to time, or it could have been a rental property. Not sure. We don't have all the details yet. But then I get to see who owns the property, if it's a business, if it is a person. In this particular case is two individuals. I get to see the APN details. So PropStream is legit in that fashion. I love it for that reason. And if there were any liens on this property, or if it was up for a pre-foreclosure, or if it was listed on the MLS at one point in time, I would be able to find out here. So this is one of the reasons why I really like PropStream. There isn't another platform program that has all of these things. Now, there's others that are out there and they're good for different usage, and that's why we use them. But PropStream is the only one that, to my knowledge, has as much details that I can gather for free, and I can put the details that I'm getting from this in addition to what the seller is telling me, in addition to the condition and pictures and stuff like that, to be able to come up with the details that I need. So let's look at this property. I was trying to see if there's any pictures on this one, but no, they didn't send any pictures. They just sent the thing. And now they're asking $345 for it. And they're saying it was a rental unit. Okay, it's a rental unit. All right, so let's take a look at these comps. So this one is a 5-bedroom, 2.5 bath. So let's go into it. Now, typically when I do my comps and I'm using PropStream, there's two things you can use. You can use MLS, you can use public data, or you can use both, or public record, right? Now, public record, a lot of people don't use it, but public record is actually the most accurate data you can ever get. Believe it or not, it's more accurate than the MLS in the sense that no matter what transaction that has happened, it eventually is going to get recorded. It's eventually going to be public data. The only reason why we don't necessarily like public data too much is because it's so slow, right? Like if a transaction happens today, it could be 2 weeks to a month or maybe even longer sometimes, depending on the location, for it to get uploaded and recorded, okay? And so that's why some people don't like public data, but public data, believe it or not, has the most detail on cash properties, cash sales, right? Now, MLS gives you a lot greater insight and is better in the sense simply because MLS gives you in real time, which is what we want, especially in this market that we're in. Now, I will never stop preaching about where we currently are at in this time with everything that's going on. You have Fed's prices, you have the increase in interest rates, which has actually gone down a bit, but doesn't really change much. You have so many other factors that is like putting pressure and it's affecting the real estate market. And so you have to be able to know how to maneuver. In Atlanta, for example, we're starting to see a lot of price changes. Now, most of you are having a very hard time with this change. And that has 100% to do with you. It's you and how you give your offer and what you're telling your sellers. A lot of times, as a wholesaler, you don't want to rub your seller the wrong way because this is the first seller out of the 20 calls that you did that actually picked up the phone and actually is having a conversation longer than 5 minutes and actually hasn't cursed you out yet. And so for you, this is a win. And in all actuality, the reason why you're having that problem is because you're not playing the numbers. This is a numbers game and you have to get your reps up. You have to put the volume up. The volume up. You got to do more. It just have to be more, right? And so what you got to do is first is understand that this seller is no different from any other seller, the next phone call you're going to make or any other phone calls, right? They're all the same. They all may have an issue and you're trying to see what their problem is and can you apply your tools and your skill set to be able to solve their problem and position it for a buyer to come in and purchase the problem from you, essentially, okay? Now, when you make your offers, you have to educate the sellers. The sellers and investors have been spoiled in Atlanta, especially for the last 2 years, okay? Now, I want to point something out to you guys, right? And this probably is going to still be up because I was just looking it up, right? So here, it's right here. If you look, the median price of a house in Atlanta right now is about $400,000. It's the median sales price, right? We're coming off of a point where in Atlanta, it used to be in the 600s for properties that should be selling in the 400s. Okay, there were bandos that were selling for 395. A bando, for my other individuals who are like, what was a bando? I missed that. What was it? A bando is an abandoned building in the hood. Okay, it's short for bandos. That's what we would call it. They were selling that for 395. This is a property that has absolutely no updates. Absolutely, like it needs all of the work, and then some. So it needs work. It needs all the work, and it needs some prayer. That's how bad of a shape that this property is in, and it was selling for 395 at the height of all this, craziness that were happening in the market. It was a great time. Buyers hated it because sellers were like, nope, I'm only going to sell it to the highest bidder. And it was perfect, right? At the time, we didn't have as much, properties available as we do now. In fact, if you go back historically, if you go back 6-7 months ago, right? If we go back to just February even, there were about 7,000 properties listed on the MLS for sale in Atlanta, Georgia. 7,000. Today, last I checked last week, because I normally like to check at the beginning of every month. Last I checked last week, there were 14,000 plus properties on the market. If you haven't heard by now, the market has completely shifted. We're in the phase where it's starting to turn like this. And so you're going to have it go from seller's market to buyer's market. So now buyers are in that position that they've been waiting and dying to be in, where they can pick and choose which property they want to deal with. Okay. And sellers are getting into the re-education of, well, I don't understand. I listed my property and it's been longer than 5 days and I have got 0 offers. What's happening? My agent said that it was going to sell. Like, I don't, what, there's a re-education that needs to happen. And they're starting to get it when they see their property has been listed for 35, 60 days, 90 days even, and they're not getting nowhere near the numbers that they thought they would get. Mark my words, you're going to see even a lot more properties that are going to end up going down in their prices. This is why this is a perfect time if you're a wholesaler / investor to go shopping on the MLS, because you have sellers who essentially wanted to sell a long time ago and is getting to the point where it's like, listen, I just need to sell. Just give me anything good and I would sell. Agents that are like, I don't know what's happening, we should just sell. And now you as a buyer, you can come in and be able to say, like, here's what I'm willing to pay for the property, right? So it's a great time, but you have to understand that so that when you're making your offer, explain it to the seller. Listen, what was happening 6 months ago, that was it. That was the last of that. It's not going to change anytime fast. It's actually going to go the opposite direction. And because of all of that, and because my cost is still up there, right? Now, granted, the cost of doing certain things for us that are doing fix and flips and things like that has gone lower, which is great news, right? It's not costing 3 times the price for lumber now, right? It's gone down, but still, we still have costs that we have to do, and it's at our cost. So I'll give you an example. I had a deal today. We negotiated a deal. Property had fire damage. It's a great deal. The seller wanted 260 when I talked to him about 2 days ago. Told him, hey, listen, I'm probably not at that number. I'm more likely, I see like 150 area. Okay. And when we spoke today, it was not even an argument. Like my team was live with me when I was speaking to him, and it was just like, wow, I didn't expect him to bite that much. Right? I thought there was going to be more back and forth. It's like I educated him, right? Told him exactly what it was going to be when I spoke to him the first time, and now when we're talking, it's really just like, here's the facts, right? And I was able to showcase that by knowing how much square footage his property was, how much it's going to cost me to be able to do the work, right? And then in addition to that, just be able to tell them, listen, I think we can probably sell this at this price point, which is not the price point of properties that were selling 3 months ago, 6 months ago. And you guys are going to see in just a minute here when I do my comps, I'm doing it differently because the market that we're currently in. I'm not going to do my comps the way you normally do it, which is you go in, see what's sold in the last 6 months, make sure it's within a mile, and then boom, you're good to go. If you do that, you're going to lose a lot of opportunities because you're going to get deals on the contract and you're not going to be able to sell them. Us buyers are not buying properties that's going to make us lose money in the next 3 to 6 months. I'll give you a perfect example. If you're looking to sell a property, let's say the ARV is 500,000, and you're like, hey, listen, I'm gonna sell you this property at 415, okay? And it only needs a little bit of work. What's a little bit of work? Let's say it needs like 60 grand or something like that, right? Okay, so 415 plus 60 grand, I'm at 475. Now, these are just an example I'm giving you, but I'm at 475. I haven't even put into consideration any of the fees and anything like that. But let's just say 475 could have worked. Let's say it's not a big job or something that could have worked. The problem is the value of these homes that are selling right now are not stagnant. They're not going up either. They're coming down. So the more houses in that area that sell at a lower price point, guess what? When I get done my fix and flip and I try to sell mine, I thought I'll be able to sell at 500,000, but I'm really going to be able to sell it at 475. So now the money I brought the property for, the money I put into it, after I pay my fees, I'm literally breaking even or 5K in the negative or much more. So buyers understand what's going on. We've been around the game long enough. We saw what happened when the other crash happens, and we kept buying, thinking this train wasn't going to stop. So now we're buying everything conservatively, and you got to make sure that you're buying at the right price. You make your money when you buy. All right. And my team noticed, I'll say it again for everybody here to be able to catch it as well. My favorite phrase in this last 2 quarters of 2022 is yesterday's price is not today's price. That line by Fat Joe have never rang more true than in this market. So let me show you exactly what I mean when we talk about how to be able to comp these deals. So I'm going to use the MLS. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change this date range. Prop is pretty cool because it allows me to be able to chime in like real detail. Like I can look for properties that sold in the last 2 months or whatever. But here I'm going to change this to the last 3 months. All right, and then today's the 11th, so I go down to 11th. So here's properties that sold in the area in the last 3 months, and it's in a half mile. Now, typically I would start at this, right? Quarter of a mile. Why do I start a quarter mile? Well, I really want to see what's going on in the neighborhood. What properties have sold that close to the property? Because when we do comps, you have to remember we do our comps adjusted to the same methodology, thought process that an appraiser does. Because when you go to sell the property after it's fixed up and the bank says, yeah, we like that property for you, we'll give you that loan, but first we're going to have our appraiser go out and take a look at it. Guess how they're going to look at it? They're going to say, well, what's sold in a quarter mile? If they can't find nothing, then we go up to a half mile, right? So for us, we saw that when we were at a half mile, it's just one property. That's not enough, right? And so what we're going to do is go to a mile. Let's see what comes up in a mile. So now we got some action. This doesn't look like it's a street or anything like that. Let's zoom into this a little bit. Doesn't look like a street. Looks like it's a patch or something or whatever. I'm not sure what this is. But here's the one property, right? Here's our property. Here's one property. Here's the second comp. I'm not sold on this comp right here. I feel like this comp is part of a whole new subdivision. There's a subdivision here. Yes, there's a crossway here, but I want to say this is like a bridge. No, it's a street. Okay. So it's a street here. Maybe it could be a comp. This doesn't necessarily look like a separation. This is field for sure, but this is just a regular street that looks like it runs through all of this. So maybe what happened is, and we've seen this a lot in Atlanta, when developers come in, they build in sections. So this was probably one phase of the build, and then another company came in and did the second phase, and you see here again. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that the prices are going to be the same in these areas, right? So you got to keep that in mind. But let's go out of this and kind of see. We'll leave it for now for the sake of this comp that we're trying to get. Now, the other thing I want to do is I make sure the dates are in the last 3 months. That's perfect. We want to look at the bed and bath. All right, this one has an extra bedroom and an extra bath, so we're gonna have to take that in consideration. It's also a little bit bigger than our property. This one isn't. This is a little bit bigger. It also has a bigger lot size, and the year built 2004. This is 2013, and this is 2004. So I like this comp better than this comp. It has more matching qualities to it. But if I had to, I could take it into consideration and just deduct. For an extra bedroom, you probably take off like 10K or something like that, right? All right. So let's see here. What did these properties sell for? So we got the average price. This is another thing that I think is cool that PropStream does. It already gave me the average price right here. So it took the prices that the property sold for, which you see here, the price per square footage, and then it added it up and divided it. So 205, 220, 266 is what they're saying. Now, the thing is, we don't know what kind of condition these properties were in when they sold, but we do. Let me show you another cool thing that I like about PropStream. I'm not sure why it logged me out here, but let's see if it's gonna just join back in. No, okay. So one of the cool things that I like about PropStream is when you click on to this, if it's a property that's sold on the MLS, you will get access to MLS details, which is pretty cool. I love Privy. I use Privy for certain things, but Privy, unless you're an agent, you don't have access to MLS details. Whereas PropStream automatically gives that to you. So here we have MLS details, and what you can do is you can go down and you see this one sold for 407. See when it sold. It's been about 30 days on the market, and I can look at the features and see exactly how the property was listed. All right, and based off of what you see in the details of the listing, you'll be able to know, like, is this a property that had like a bunch of work done to it, or is this a property that was like nothing was done to it? I'll give you another example. Here's the other one. Let's open it up. All right, I'm gonna see today. You see, this was a LLC that brought this one. All right, description, like all our homes, located in blah, 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 good size bedroom, bath, counter. Okay, so this was built in 2013. All right, so this right here was brought by this company, but it was sold as a rental. If you see here, I mean, first thing, obviously, you pay attention to the company. Then when you go into MLS details, you see here when it has price, it says $2,500 in listing for rent. So that's great news because now we know we can't use this one as a comp. What was that? This one? All right, so now we're left with the 407 as a comp. And we know this one had an extra bedroom and bath. So we're going to deduct maybe about $15,000 for that. So the comp will probably be somewhere in the threes, what this would sell for. Okay. Now they're selling this property for $399. So essentially they're selling it for basically retail. All right. Now, as a wholesaler, selling it to a fix and flipper, there's really nothing. There's nothing here. I mean, the property is probably in decent shape. Again, they didn't give us any pictures. So, but if this was a lead that we had, we would have been able to call and talk to them and kind of see what's going on, et cetera, et cetera. But we don't have any of that detail here. I personally feel like this is a property that they should be selling to a buy and hold investor instead, and they could possibly get what they're looking for there. But that's how I would do this deal. I wouldn't be looking to sell it to a fix and flipper. This should be just for a buy and hold investor, and it should advertise as such to get a better eyes on it, right? You want your buy and hold people to be looking at this one. All right, let's go to our next one, 5516 West Berry Lane. The one thing you gotta make sure is that when you're using PropStream is that you put the stuff in exactly how it's supposed to be. So for example, you saw as soon as I did something, it took away the address. All right, here it is. Oh, this is why. So you see how lane is written here is just written LN, comma. Whereas on mine, when I was writing it out, I spelled out the word lane. So here we go. So this is for let me see. What's the asking price on this one? What price is the seller asking for this? What kind of condition is the property in? All right, so let's see if we get those details back. But while we're doing that, let's just take a look. So we see who the owner is. All right, cool. Seller's asking 160 for it. Let's see Link's properties. You see they own two properties. And the Westbury one is their, see, looks like from on here, looks like their main property. So let's go to comps. See what we got. Let's do MLS because we want to get active. Let's go to quarter. And we're doing the last 3 months only. All right, so we see it's a townhome that's set up here. Now, can we use this as a comp? The answer is no, we cannot, because it is not the same type of property. The subject property we're talking about is a single family, and this is a townhome. So we can't use that. So we're gonna have to spread this out a little bit more. Let's go out to half a mile. All right, boom. So now we got some action in half a mile. And we just got the update on the condition, fair condition. Roof was replaced 10 years ago. Kitchen and flooring was updated within the last 10 years. Garage was converted to a mother-in-law suite. And we'll talk about that in a second. Water heater is about 3 years old. HVAC is original. Everything is in working condition. Okay. Kitchen and flooring was up in the last 10 years. Okay, so worst case scenario, I think this probably just needs an update, right? Maybe new bathroom, new kitchen set. Okay. Now what was it? The garage was converted into a mother-in-law suite. Here's something I want you guys to make sure you start asking all your sellers. Was that conversion permitted? Was the conversion did they get permits? Was it documented anywhere? This is super important now because a lot of big box buyers, for example, at one point in time was buying everything, and now they're being extremely cautious on anything that is coming back that does not have proper documentation, permits, and everything that was pulled. We had a deal that was supposed to go through. They pulled back on it because we still dealing with hedge funds and other big box buyers. They pulled back on it because, now get this, the seller who was selling the house, when they brought the house, it was already established. So they brought it with this, this addition that was added on to it. They had no idea if it was permitted or not. They figured it was okay because when they brought it, nobody said anything, right? The previous owner did the work, never got permits. It was never documented in the court records that something was done here and it was okayed by the city. So now the new owner is trying to sell this property and couldn't sell it for the price that they wanted because they had an unpermitted, section in the house. So double check to see if that part is permitted because you don't want that to mess up your deal. That sucks when it does. All right, let's zoom in real quick. I want to kind of show you guys this. So here's our property. Here's one comp. Hopefully that's not the townhome. And then you see these two right here. Now, this is the second property that we're dealing with that's separated by like this big patch of land. And we don't know for sure how that affects it. And here's how you would know. What you want to be able to do essentially is you want to look and see if the prices in this neighborhood, for the most part, is different from the prices in this neighborhood. If the prices are different, then you know for a fact that you can't use any of these as a comp. And what I mean by different is, let's say these houses here are in the 300s and these are in the 600s, right? It's a whole different type of vibe in this area, in this neighborhood. So you won't be able to use it. But let's take a look and see what we got. So we know we can't use this one. It's the townhome. And here's the other two that's on the other side of the road. And we'll look at those anyway, just to kind of use this as an example. So this one sold for $285. This one sold for $300. And this one looks like it sold, but this price right here tells me that it was a rental. All right. So with that being said, let's match up everything else. 3232 square footage, all in line. That's perfect. Lot size not that big of a deal, to be honest with you. It just depends on if you're buying a bunch of land type of thing. Year built, this was 1984, 1980, 82, 84. So these are great comps. These worked for us, even though they got that patch of land type of thing. It's perfectly fine. This one was a rental, so we won't be able to use it. But this one here, you got 300 and 285. Perfect price points, right? So based off of what they're saying, the condition is I'm going to assume that this would probably just need like a regular fixing upping type of thing, which means that would probably be at like $55, $60 per square foot for your rehab costs. So let's see what that comes up to. Get out the trusty calculator. The square footage on this property is 1189 times, and we're going to do $55 per square foot on this one. So you're looking at a rehab cost of estimated about $64,000, right? So we got $64,000 here for our rehab costs. Cool. And then now you want to work backwards, right? So I would say the comp in this area. Now to be conservative, let's look when exactly did this sell. So the property for 300 sold 622. This one sold. So this is a perfect example of what I was saying earlier about the prices going down. These two properties are pretty much the same property, 3-bedroom, 2-bath. They're both on the same side of the track. They're only a 2-year difference apart. And this one sold for 300. 1 month later, this one sold for 285. Right? And if you did the math, let's see, 300 minus, yeah. So if you do the math, you take 300 minus 5%, I believe that was. Yeah. So what I've been telling my team is when you get your ARV, you want to subtract anywhere from 5 to 15%, even depending on the neighborhood or the area, from the ARV and make that your new ARV. I'm gonna say it again. You take the ARV you just found out, you're gonna subtract 5 to 15%. If you want to be, like safe, do 8% or whatever. And that's going to give you the new price, the new ARV price of your property. So if you look, this property a month, 2 months ago sold for 100. If you take 300,000 minus by 5%, it gives you 285, which is the price that this property sold for literally 30 days later. You can't make this up. The numbers are the numbers, people, right? So this is the track record that we're on. So I would say the comp right now, I would call it 285 for your ARV, or I would go 285 minus 5% and make that the new ARV. That's what projected you can sell it for. Now, what happens if you're wrong, right? What happens if I could possibly sell this for more than 270? Then your buyer is going to love you because you made them make more money. That's what you want, right? Well, when I talk to my team, we talk about all the time who's the client and who's the customer. Your seller is the customer because your seller only has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tops house, or maybe they have a portfolio, but at a certain point in time, they're going to be done. They're going to be run out of properties to sell you. Okay. Whereas your client will always come back to buy from you. So your buyer is your client. So if anything, you want to make a win-win-win type of scenario, but you want to make sure out of everybody that your buyer is the happiest, because they will continue to bring money to the table, get you paid, get your seller paid, and everything goes smooth. So for your ARV, and thanks for sending this in, but for your ARV, I would say I would be anywhere between, I would say 270, be conservative, but if you want to use 285, you can. I would deduct my rehab costs at 65,000 and just go from there. Try to make it work. Like if I was going to give you an actual, like what should you get this for? I would probably do, let's see, so we said ARV 275. The square footage on this was 1189, I think, if I remember correctly. Yep, 1189. And now this is just saying that, we don't need anything else. No roof, electricity, HVAC, plumbing, foundation issues, all that is good. We're just doing a regular upgrade. I would say that and then I don't know what you want for your assignment fee, right? But let's say you were at, let's call it 15,000 for your assignment fee, right? So if your assignment fee is 15,000, I would tell you to make a max offer of about $135, $400.40 to the penny. If you really want to get down to the penny, your max offer should be $135,440.13. That's what your max offer should be. I did my little calculation here, right? Now, if that's your max offer, are you going to go back to the seller and say, hey, here's what I can offer you, and start at 135? No, absolutely not, right? You're going to work your way up to that number. You want to build that whole storyline so the seller feels like they won something, feels like they got something. And you want to be straight to the point. You want to be able to hit your seller right between the nose, right? On our team, we call it rip the Band-Aid off. Give them exactly what it is, but be truthful, right? Don't say, hey, I can give you 160 and then have to go back down so you can be able to sell the property at the right price. And now you're asking for haircuts and discounts, and you're making up stories about your contractor said it's too high. Just hit them right between the eyes. Pull the Band-Aid off. I can offer you $135,000 for this property, and that's what I know I can buy it at, conservatively making money on the back end. Now, if he and haw and this and third and say, I'm gonna go to somebody else, perfect. Your job is to just do two things. If you are a wholesaler, you have two main roles in this position. It is to make offers and follow up. That's all you have to do to be successful. If you make enough offers and you follow up on those offers every week, every 2 weeks, whatever that structure should be for you, you will succeed. And so in this case, I would suggest that's what you do. Make that offer, work your way up to making that offer, and then go ahead and follow up if they don't take you on that first bite. But this is the best deal. This allows you to be able to get 15,000 for your rehab. I'm sorry. It allows you to make 15,000 for your assignment fee. And this is going to give your buyer at least 20% on the ARV. So they'll at least be able to make 55,000 off this, which ain't a bad day for an investor at that rate, but you got to get it at the right price. So I hope that helped. If you got any other questions on it, please let me know. But thanks for tuning in and sending it over. That was a fun one. All right, so we'll do one more, but I want to time it with my team real quick. I got a young lady who's going to be a killer in this space because she's learning from my whole team. I can't say she's just learning from me; she's learning from my whole team. But I want to ask. I see you on my side camera right here, right? You're like right there. So I see you, Stacy. So I wanted to know, like, did you have any questions on anything I just broke down? You can unmute. I'm not sure if everybody else will hear you, but I can hear you. Mhm. Okay. Yeah, do a regular rehab. So estimate rehab, I think would probably be not because I don't know for sure the details about the other stuff, the big ticket items. So I estimate up to 60, but if it's just a regular rehab, it should be like 47, 50,000 based off of that square footage. So that could be where the 5K difference is missing. Oh, the ARV. Yeah. What did you have for your ARV? Because for mine, I had mine at 275. Okay, got it. 275. Okay. Okay. That's what it was then. That's what it was. Okay. 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 I got you. I got you. We got one more we're gonna do. And of course, the person said thank you. So of course, thanks for tuning in. Let's look at this last one we got. I like doing these. These are always fun to me. All right, where's the last one? All right, so we got one. Um, this one should be cool because we actually got some pictures too. All right, so let's go with this one. So this one's over in Powder Springs. This is a good one. All right, so we got this property here. Let me open this up a little bit more. Okay, so we got this property here. Just want to make sure you guys can see the screen. Okay, so it's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1992 year built, and wholesale was asking 295, and they were saying that they think the ARV is 375. All right, it's currently being rented. Let's take a look at the pictures. All right, so this is what our property looks like. This is interesting. There's no like concrete anywhere. But I don't know if this was, oh, this is the side of the house. This is the back of the house. Okay. I thought this was the front. I'm like, this is a different style of house right here. All right. Okay, looks like it needs some repair on the siding over there. Steps looks like it needs some repair. Gotta pull up the carpet. Needs new kitchen for sure. New paint. The bathroom was pretty dark, but I was gonna assume the bathroom hasn't been updated too. Okay, so really quick, and maybe we need to do a call on how to take pictures, because these pictures, some are good and some are just like bad pictures. Like this is a bad picture. I can't really see much of anything in this picture. I can't see this tub. I can see the sink and the toilet, but I can't see the ceiling. I can't see the floor. It's not really helping me out. This right here, I'm not sure if they took this picture because they was like, "Ooh, this is a really nice bed. I want to take this and save it so that when I go bed shopping, I can remember it." But this tells me nothing about the room at all, right? Like I have no idea why am I looking at the bed. Um, but and this is another example. Like they took pictures. Now, granted, this might not have been the wholesaler. This could have easily been the owner, right, or the tenant. The owner could have been like, "Hey, send me some pictures of the house," and this is what they did, like send pictures of the boxes. But let me tell you why this is a problem. Because if I say send me some pictures and you show me stuff like this, I'm gonna assume the worst about the house. Because to me, that means you don't want to show me the bad spots, right? So automatically, I'm gonna come in much lower because I'm gonna assume I need to put in a bunch of work on this property. All right. So let's go into it. 3-2, 1992 built. See what I was saying? Options show you like there's liens on this property, but it's not what we're here for. We're here for comp this bad boy. So let's do it last 3 months. Now, what happens if, we go into the property and realize that, hey, you know what? There's not really that many comps in the last 3 months. Well, we'll go back. We'll go to the last 6 months, right? But that's typically how you do it. Now let's start as close as we can. Boom, looking good. All right, so we got one here. And this was a public record sale. Let's look at that real quick since we didn't get a chance to look at public record stuff. So here's a public record sale. This was sold by Open Door, the Rascals. That's about it. Nothing here. I like looking at mortgage information. So Open Door brought this. When did they buy this? They just brought it. So Open Door is the one that paid for this, and they paid $329 for this property. So if Open Door was still buying, this would be a good deal to sell to Open Door. But let's go back, stretch out a little bit. So we got some comps here. The average comp that I'm seeing so far is about 344 for the ARV. Let's match everything up though. 3 bedrooms, 2 baths. That's perfect. Everything is good except for this property here. It's 2002. Actually, these two also aren't good because this is a 1989 build. This 1989 build. This is 2004. Now let me see. 999 192. Technically, you could use these as comp still because it's 89. It's not that far away from 92. But this 93 is going to be there for sure, right? And when you look at it, they're all sold around the same price point. They sold in the same month. I'm actually curious now to see if they all were sold to or by the same company. They better not be open door. Okay, cool. All right, so this is a guy named Frank that owns it. All right, let's see. Okay, so this was just a regular sale here. That's good. And this was just a regular sale as well. This is an investor that bought this property and sold it. Okay, so that's good. That checks out for us. So I would say the comps, the comps are right here, and the average ARV would be 328,980. So now they had an after repair value of 375, and obviously I think that's wrong. I think it doesn't work. And in addition to that, you see this one number 4. That's what I was saying, right? So this year is 2004. The reason being is because it's all the way over here, right? And these houses are probably 2004 built. They were probably built around the same time when it comes to subdivisions. Whereas this house here um, is in this pile, and so it was built a little bit um, the same, essentially, right? Even though it was an 89. So I think the ARV is 325 on this one. I do not think it is 375, as I said. So I'm also going to assume that their wholesale price is probably going to be wrong too. But let's do this. 385. No, 325. And the property, do we think it needs roof? Definitely needs some siding stuff we saw. Half brick. All right. My son is getting home, so my dog is probably about to go crazy in a second. But this deck looks kind of okay. Maybe it just needs to be cleaned. Um, Obviously, we need new bathroom. So I'm gonna say this is gonna be a essentially a I'm gonna say it's gonna be a gut job. This one. So not necessarily like full gut with all the trimmings, right? Like needs bathroom, I mean, needs new roof and things like that. But it's possible, right? I think it's possible. This probably could need a new roof. Um, so if I were gonna put into repairs, I would probably say that probably be about 80,000 for repairs on this. And if that's the case, then I would probably want to offer about 150 for this property. I'll probably offer 150 instead of 295, which is what the wholesaler was trying to sell it for. Now, why are they listing it for such a large difference of a number? Well, they could be trying to sell it as a investor package to a buy and hold seller, right? But I wouldn't buy it as a fix and flipper because I don't think that's the right price. That price point, hey baby girl, that price point just doesn't make sense at 295. There's too much work that needs to be done, and it's not gonna make sense for any other investor who's looking to buy and turn it into a fix and flip. Now, if it's a buy and hold, um, honestly, I think that still might be a little bit too expensive for a buy and hold. The monthly rent in this area is about $1,600, unless this could be wrong. But if the monthly rent in the area is $1,600, this is blowing way past the 1% rule. And if it was in tip-top shape, that would matter. That would be cool. Like, all right, don't worry about the 1% rule. But I'm gonna buy it at $295. I'm gonna rent it out for $1,600 a month, but that's only after I have to put in so much money into it. It's not a deal, right? It's not a deal. This is probably why this deal didn't sell the first time it got sent around, because they told the seller too much for the property. So, nonetheless, that's how you would comp it. That's the number that I would give. if you were going to go try to get this deal, I would renegotiate this contract and try to get it at 140 to make it make sense. All right. So with that being said, good people, this has been great. It's been another episode 10. We're already at 10 episodes. This is pretty freaking dope. Thank you all for watching, for joining, commenting, hooking me up with these deals that we can comp. Hopefully, it's been great information for you guys. You can take it and make some deals work. And if you need help talking to the seller or pitching something creative, I think like this last property here, the one on Shallow Springs, this could be a good deal for something creative, right? And if that happens, cool. Let's make it happen, right? So nonetheless, thank you for tuning in. Tune in next week when we do another Compin Atlanta episode 11. That's gonna be dope. Also, we're gonna do a Cash Buyer Friday. It's gonna come up. So if you follow me on social media, make sure you follow me. You'll be able to see when we drop that. That's gonna be dope. It's gonna be going to a Cash Buyer's property, have their GC there. They're gonna basically break everything down to us. Like, here's what we did. Here's how much we spent. Here's how much we were paying in rehab costs and etc. And it's gonna be dope. It's gonna make great connections. The other kicker is if you are in need of cash buyers, guess what? And who else shows up to these cash buyer events? Agents, cash buyer investors, title companies. They're gonna show up, and it's a great way, good place to network. And in another 3 weeks or so, we're going to be having another big event. You know how we do our events. If you're not part of Atlanta Elite Real Estate Connections, you definitely want to join it. Here's the Facebook page. It's free to join. We do tons of events, and we really have a great time. We just started this group. We got about 500 so people in there, and it's been great. And you see, we got tons of people that are reaching out and getting help on stuff, commercial deals, et cetera, et cetera. Nonetheless, we're going to be doing a big event. It's going to be here in Atlanta. We'll put the details and information of exactly like when and where and all that. Just follow me on social, This That Flips, and Eddy Charger on YouTube. Thanks for tuning in, live and direct. Peace. You want to say bye? Say peace. All right, y'all. Gotta go. Peace.